In the Los Llanos region at the edges of Venezuela and Colombia, there is a folktale of the most scary El Silbón, the Whistler. Ooh! This story has murder and cannibalism in it. It appears in both Venezuela and Colombia, but today's character is based off Venezuelan culture because this idea was suggested by a Venezuelan. The tale goes like this. There's this young fella, he's a spoiled brat and his parents do whatever he wants. And one day, he's feeling hungry for his favorite meat and demands his father hunt a deer. His father comes home with no deer meat for dinner, so the son, who I guess is very hangry, does the unthinkable. He kills his father, and then he cuts out his father's heart and liver. He then got his mom to unknowingly cook and serve his father's organs for dinner. Fortunately or unfortunately, the mother realizes this and she curses him. The grandfather comes into the mix. Grandpa ties the son to a post in the middle of the countryside. His back is lashed until it's destroyed and then cleaned with alcohol, lemon juice, and chili peppers. They put a sack of his father's remains on his back and then finally let him go to run away from his grandfather's dogs. Before the son is released, his grandfather curses him to carry the bones of his father for all eternity, and that is exactly what happens. Now he's cursed to wander the grasslands forever. He whistles these musical notes. He kills adulterers and drunkards, but also innocents. If you hear him whistle, you're fudged. You can save yourself from him though, using 3 things: the sound of a dog barking, a whip, or chili. Yum! He's described as being super tall, between 6 to 12 meters tall, but I would rather he not be that tall for reasons I will tell you later. I wanted to tell you this version so you can learn more about the folklore, but to be honest, I prefer a different version of the story, which I think is more suitable for a Monster High character. This tale does have several variations after all. I know that Monster High is actually quite dark behind the aesthetics, but like the cannibalism here is a bit too much, so let's choose another variation. This story portrays the son as being more reasonable. El Silbón, still a human, comes home to his father abusing his wife. He kills dad and gets the whole curse treatment from grandpa. You would think that being chased by rabid dogs with a bleeding back would kill a man, but he ends up surviving in a way. He changes. He becomes a monster, thin and scary and bony. He wanders around, unable to return to civilization and go back to his wife after his terrible transformation. So his newfound hobbies are killing cheaters and drunkards and womanizers. This is where things go astray from canon folklore. Now here's my writing. Years later, El Silbón, wandering around, finds a little shack in the outskirts of a village. He realizes that the woman inside that shack is his wife, and his wife sees him. She's initially terrified, but when she recognizes him, somehow, she doesn't run away. They end up talking, and they actually reunite for a few sweet years with him visiting her in the darkness of night. Romance. And then they have a child. And that child is today's character. It's true love, guys. It's not weird, okay? See, this is why I don't want El Silbón to be 6 meters tall. Like, never mind the fact that he's a skeleton. If you're 6 meters tall, you can't have a relationship with a regular-sized human. Sorry. I mean, we all know Monster High characters tend to be the children of mythological creatures instead of the actual creature in the tale themselves, so I have no choice in this regard. I know that El Silbón is sometimes described as kidnapping babies, but I really don't want to go that dark and make this character's backstory kidnapped as a baby by a monster. I don't like torturing my characters, okay? Anyways, the whole conflict here is that El Silbón is not the nicest fella and his wife is long gone, so that sucks. He's a single dad raising his rebellious teenage son since the middle of the 19th century, which is when the myth originated, so that's like 1835. But now his son, El Silbón Jr., wants to go to Monster High instead of wandering around the grasslands all the time. And that's how we end up with this fella. As is tradition, I will not be naming this character because I do not know how to make puns in Spanish. Thank you. Suggestions in the comments are welcome. I shall call him Junior because Little Whistle is a bad placeholder name. Junior's personality can be summed up in 2 words, edgelord. 4 words, try-hard edgelord. A full sentence, try-hard edgelord with mega daddy and mommy issues. In most iterations of Silbón, he looks like a skeleton, but to be honest, if I'm gonna spend so much time on a character, I'm not gonna draw something I don't like. I just don't want to make him a skeleton. I want to give him enough flesh to be cute and fashionable because I believe that designing male characters that are just as appealing and cute as female characters is my God-given duty to this earth, and I just don't know how to make a character appealing in that way. Sorry, Sense and Papyrus fans, if you're watching this. This might actually be a skill issue on my part. Anyways, in terms of backstory, Junior here is feeling rather isolated. He's an angsty loner for sure. He has spent centuries with mostly dad for company. Sucks, man. His mom had to raise him in secret because having a child with exposed bones is not very socially acceptable. Of course, Junior and Silbón are immortal and mom is not, so she's been gone for a very, very long time. But Junior takes super long to grow relative to a human. He's still getting over the fact he couldn't really do much with his mom in public because he's half monster. Same with Silbón Sr., who's also not over it. Time just moves very slowly for them. Just to clarify, this is a brand new Monster High generation with a brand new cast and therefore new themes. I call it Monster High Gen B and I base it off both G1 and G3. I'm thinking that because Junior was born centuries ago, he was born in a time when half-human monsters were rejected by full-blooded monsters. Like how Jackson Jekyll is bullied for being human and Hulk Hyde is not, even though they are both in the same half-human, half-monster body. So let's say there aren't many other monsters out here in the grasslands, and if they are not very keen on hanging out with Junior here. Sucks, man. Anyways, after mom died, as Junior grows up very, very, very slowly into a teenager, his relationship with Silbón deteriorates and we end up with the angsty teenager archetype. Here's me trying to figure out how to make him work. I want to make him human but also clearly skeleton. I think we have a good idea of where to go from here. We'll ditch this nerdy haircut and go for something cooler, or at least something I want to imagine is cool. I'm not really good with short hair. The half-skeleton idea here is good though, so we're keeping that. Here we try to design him in full. We give him the key traits of Silbón. He really is his dad's son. He's got the hat, which I admit is not drawn well. He's got the sack, but who knows whose bones are in that sack. He's got a skeleton body that is way too scary for children. Whoops. I initially drew him with his shirt open to show off that skeleton body, but it does not feel suitable for a school environment. Not that Monster High seems to have much of a dress code, but still. According to the Venezuelan cousin who requested this character, apparently Silbón is based off LLaneros. They're like cowboys because they can ride horses and donkeys and herd cattle and all that stuff. So we're gonna give Junior the hat and a ruana, which I imagine might be his version of an oversized black hoodie. It's hard to really push that edgy teenager stereotype I'm sort of going for with this character, given that he has to look like a LLanero and a monster, but I have to try my best. Anyway, to continue this story, Junior gets an invitation to Monster High. There's this thing in Monster High Gen B where the staff run around the world and try to find rare monsters to offer them free Monster High scholarships. Junior tries to seem cool about it, but he's totally panicking on the inside. After a lot of arguing with his dad, he is able to enroll in Monster High with monsters his age, or like mental age. He can finally make friends and maybe do something else instead of walking around the grassland of a sack. I imagine Junior would be a fun side character or character that appears less than the 5 core protagonists. I know Monster High has so many characters and they just randomly appear and sometimes get attention, which I love as someone who makes so many OCs. An angsty, edgy character like him would be great to have in a cast that consists mostly of cheery people. There's a lot of potential for high school shenanigans with this guy. Like, you know how Silbón likes to whistle? Maybe Junior likes singing and he wants to join the choir club or karaoke with the homies, but he's insecure about his voice. It's not actually bad, it's just really unusual, very deep and super raspy. Anyways, here's the finished design. I tried to give him a crop top to expose his rotting flesh that he wears with his ruana. is not that cropped because I don't know how to make his outfit look good while exposing the skeleton parts of his torso. It's a bit scary for kids, so maybe not the best idea to put that on his body anyways. It was so much easier to give Teresa a crop top. She literally has just one long scar to show off. But the part we need to show off for Junior is more oddly shaped, so I just gave up and gave him a barely cropped shirt. I tried to draw on the actual notes of Silbón's whistle, but I'm not sure they are correct. I also have no idea what the buttons on his shirt are. I imagine Junior swooshes around his Ruana a lot to look cool. So you know how Junior is more skeleton on his right and more human on his left? His left hand is fully fleshed out and his right is a bit bony, so I decided to go further. Junior has this gigantic rip on his right leg jean to show off that it's entirely bone. On an actual doll, making that sort of body would probably be a pain, but for fashion and design purposes, I think it's so epic. His skeleton leg doesn't look imbalanced or weird with his flesh leg because he's wearing those baggy as fudge pants all the kids like these days. I added a one-side chap to his flesh leg so I could balance it out and add even more edge. His Ruana is asymmetrical and I could not handle that, so I had to make sure the rest of his design was asymmetrical too in a way that could balance it out. Honestly, I do think his design is stylish and edgy in the way I'm going for, but I just don't think it's suitable for an official Monster High design. I'm failing at my marketing here, it's just too scary. I kinda messed up here with how gory he is. I mean, I think maybe 10-year-olds and above would like him, but below the age, no. So truly an L taken. But aside from that, I think this design is okay. You know, it has all the hallmarks of a Monster High design. Lots of black, edge, impractical clothes to wear to high school. You got it. I could technically stop here, but then I was like, you know, the only reason why this character was requested was because this person trusted me to make Venezuelan representation. Is the character just standing there really representation? One of the areas in my art that I want to improve in the most is creative presentation. When I design a character, the final iteration is them just standing there because it takes a long time to design iterations and finalize the design. And them just standing there is the easiest way to show off their entire outfit. I mean, yeah, I try to get them to pose in a way that shows off their personality, but I know I could definitely figure out better ways to show off their designs and their personalities at the same time. It'll just take me some time to develop this skill, but I definitely want to learn how to make my characters more memorable and interesting. I'll take a break to show you what I'm talking about here. Maypop is one of my favorite artists, despite the fact we have wildly different art styles. Aside from the absolute banger character designs, we can also see that there is very creative usage of formatting here. Design is one thing, but the way you present your characters can make a very big impact on how the audience views and remembers your OCs. That and also a good character idea hook, but that's not in my control right now. I swear up and down, a number of years from now, I will reach this level, but I'll have to take my time. So for now, I'm just practicing the basics of upping my concept art game by including character interactions and simple backgrounds, not too stressful or time consuming. Here we focus on showing the audience who this character is like instead of just how he looks. I know I said he carries his sack everywhere, but no one knows what's in it or whose bones they are. But what if? A dog. That's right. In his teenage rebellion phase, he has rebelled against his dad by getting a dog. A skeleton dog. His dad hates dogs because of the whole getting chased by them to his death thing. So Junior cleverly hides his dog in his sack. Basically, since the dog is undead and doesn't need air, it's basically napping or playing dead. It just pops into a bunch of bones and then goes into the sack. Then, when Dad is not around, Junior just empties the sack. The bones rearrange themselves and bam, you've got a dog. I'm so smart. When he starts attending Monster High, he does pretty much the same thing. He just keeps the bones in his sack during class so he doesn't get scolded by the teachers for disturbing everyone. Then, during lunch or after school, he plays fetch with it or something. It definitely helps him make more friends. Here's him trying to avoid choir kids from bugging him to join their club. He actually wants to, but he's super nervous about it. He's a loner with a massive resting grumpy face, so nobody approaches him first. He's actually kinda shy. He's a sort who expresses his nervousness through defensiveness or agitation, which kinda sucks for making friends. but he manages to pull through sometimes. Well, that was quick. I think this is a fun piece of art. It has a dog, so bonus points for that. And I think you should be able to get the gist of his personality. I've been trying to find a faster art style to lean back on when I need to make art, but I don't want to spend hours rendering every single detail. It's supposed to be textured and mostly lineless. I hate lines. It takes so long to line things. Oh my gosh, I'm way too messy for line art, so I'm trying to get rid of them in my art slowly. Anyways, I thought this art was fun, but I kind of thought it was not very good in terms of ideation. Basically, I thought I should try to showcase more Venezuelan culture. The issue here is that I don't actually know anything about Venezuelan culture, so it's a struggle to think about something a Venezuelan could look at and relate with. So all I could think of is Junior playing the cuatro for a talent show and also making the world's worst cachapas during cooking class. Yay! Cachapas are pancakes made from corn dough. They are traditionally eaten with queso de mano, handmade cheese which is soft and mozzarella-like, also with fried pork chicharron. Ooh, yummy! They can have lots of ingredients with different kinds of cheese, jam and milky cream, so they can be both savory and sweet. Great! Junior prefers hot sauce on his. He loves his cheese, of course, because they keep his bones nice and strong, but given the fact that he's a half skeleton, he can't taste much, which is why he adds a lot of hot sauce to his cachapas, like a lot. He just likes the tingly feeling it leaves on his tongue. His dad hates chili, so he keeps this a secret as if it's some sort of immense parental betrayal if dad finds out. And that is literally all I could think of to represent Venezuelan culture. I cry. Well, I hope that you at least find it funny. Send help. Anyways, that's all for his design. I really enjoyed the design challenge of trying to make the last two pieces in a lineless art style. I hate lines so much. So this was good practice. I hope any Venezuelan cousins watching this will find this video interesting at least. Given that I was born in Philippines, I consider both our countries colonial cousins. I hope I did your country justice. Sorry for any mispronunciations and misinformation if there is any. Thank you for watching. Cheers!